Okay guys, so it's Thursday afternoon, 2.5 days before Manchester Marathon, and we're going to give this an absolute full send. The pre-race buzz and nerves are definitely there. And you know what, no matter how many races you've done, this feeling, it just doesn't quite go away. But it's good, it's good. These pre-race nerves are good. We can use that energy, we can channel it, hopefully for that last 10Ks, that part that counts, that part that I haven't got quite right in my last few attempts. But let's hope this is the one. Come on. So in today's video, I'm going to give you my honest thoughts ahead of the race. I've always been open and honest in my journey according to, what shape I'm in and what I'll be targeting, as well as, some of the things in my favor, some of the things not in my favor. I'll go through some of the Q&As on my Strava. There were a couple of really good questions in there. And yeah, I think I'll definitely touch base on a couple of the numbers that I've hit, a couple of the big sessions, what my race day strategy is going to be, what my fueling is going to be, and you can decide for yourself what sort of shape you think I'm in. Please drop a comment below with what you think I'm going to run at Manchester Marathon. I promise you it won't mess with my head. We'll go back and look at the comments and see who got the closest. But as for now, I've got the race cuts in. I've got Adidas this side. I've got my race number 111 in this side. Full send coming up. Let's go. I would just like to thank the sponsor of this video, AG1. I've been taking this for quite a few weeks now and I've really felt a significant difference. It has over 70 high quality ingredients to support physical and mental health. And it's really good tasting. They've done an amazing job of getting something with so much goodness to taste so good. And in fact, that sweet taste you get from this is from natural ingredients. It's actually the core of pineapple and vanilla extracts. It's super quick and easy to get in. As you know, I'm all about the pace. So the first thing I do when I wake up is get my AG1 bottle, fill it up with water, have 1 scoop of AG1, give it a proper shake and get that goodness in. Best way to start the day. It's given me a lot of energy and focus, and especially within this house move over the past few weeks, it's taken a lot out of me. So I've been grateful to have this in my life. It also supports my immune system. And as we know, in the build up to a race, we really want to get that immune system as strong as possible so we can fire on all cylinders. Scan this QR code on screen to save 20% when you subscribe. You'll also receive a 1-year supply of AG vitamin D3 and K2, as well as 5 AG travel packs for your first purchase. You've got to give this stuff a try. Thank you so much to AG1 for sponsoring today's video. Let's go get it. Recently moved houses within the last 2 weeks, and I probably should have been doing a lot more core mobility. I enjoy doing that stuff in the build up to a race in the last few days, just to bring some life, spring and pop and, make sure you're moving smoothly come race day. However, I've had a lot to get through and I thought, I can't postpone this till after Manchester Marathon. I need to get this done. So instead of doing all that stuff, I've been drilling, hanging medals, building cupboards, up and down stairs. I'm absolutely exhausted from that stuff. But you know what? The heart is happy. I've built my running cave and I think I run best when my heart is happy. So let me show you what I've been up to and what it looks like at the moment. Hey guys, check it out. So this is what I have been doing the last couple of days. I've been kitting out my running cave. Let me show you a bit more. So over here is my first 3 comrades 2014, 2015, 2016, followed by London Marathon, 242, 235, 230, and 1 second. Ouch! Then here we go is marathon major medals. So here's all the Londons, 6 Londons, 3 Berlins, 1 Chicago. So I've done marathon majors 10 times, but I've only done 3 of the big 6. I am doing New York this year, but I'm in no rush to get the major 6-star medal. Then we move forward. So here we've got other big marathons that I've done that are outside of majors: Valencia, Paris, Rotterdam, Seville, all the Cambridge half beauties. There's Cheshire Marathon, Cape Town Marathon, Copenhagen Marathon. And here's all the big halves over here. We move on to some of the beautiful looking medals as well. Here's Hackney halves, Essex London 10Ks and Vitality 10Ks, Hampton Court halves. Then this is the ultra wall. I'm sure I've got a few ultra medals somewhere as well, but no pain, no gain. Comrades Marathon 1, 2, 3. I mean, you run 90Ks, it's the most grueling race of all of them, and you get this tiny little medal, the smallest of the lot. 2 oceans, 2 silvers, which I'm very proud of. More ultras in South Africa in my early running days, Loskop and Dam. And then here is just a volume of so many other medals there. Hopefully it doesn't pull the wall down. So that's what that looks like. Then yeah, here are some of my favorite memories. I definitely actually need to update this at some point too. Here's kit PBs. So I got this made for me a while back. My older kits. This is my newer kits, let's say. Then in the corner I've got my box jumps. You know what? I'm useless at box jumps, so I need to work on picking up that fast twitch muscle. So yeah, I promise to do box jumps. Then here's a little trophy cabinet over here. Quite a bit of Cambridge Park stuff there. And then here are my shoes. Boom, shakalaka. I'm not going to go through all the shoes. I mean, there's more. But the ones you need to know, Prime X Strung 2s. Prime X Strungs. Here's my racing shoe, Adidas Pro 3. Let's go. Then in this corner here, just some of my caps. Okay, so let's have a look into some of the numbers and some of the sessions I've hit in the 6-week build up to Manchester. What I did was I looked at how I ran at Berlin. I ran 2:22.12. It was the slowest in my last 4 marathons that I've targeted. And I thought, what do I need to do differently this block in order to give myself the best chance? So the first thing was to get my shorter distance speed down. So my 5K time down before I went into the marathon block. Now, my 5K PB is 14:34. I haven't been near that shape sort of within the last 2 years, but I thought for me to stand a realistic chance, I need to get that below 14:40. And we did that, guys. So managed to do a 5K before this block started in 14:38, so sub 14:40. Remember, marathon pace is 3:19, and that 5K pace that I got that down to is 2:56, so significantly faster than marathon pace. Of course, it's only 5K, but you need to get the body moving at that speed and sort of not comfortable at that speed, but just sort of used to that speed for as long as possible. So come race day, 3:19 to hopefully feel comfortable. So box ticked on that one. Then the next thing, for the half marathon, I said to myself, I need to do under 67 minutes. Cambridge half was my goal half in the build up to this. It was quite early on in the block. I'd only done about 2 to 3 weeks of training. And I didn't quite go sub 67. I went 67:19. I ran like an absolute monkey. I went with the group, with the chasing pack on the day. We went significantly too fast for me in the beginning. I knew that was going to be the case, but I kind of risk it for the biscuit sometimes. That was my attitude. And then I sort of, reality smacked me in the face. I had to slow down a lot. But then I found something towards the end, which I was really proud of. Fought with all I had, was competitive, and finished in 67:19. So I think there's positives to take from the fact that I didn't quite bank that sub 67, which I kind of thought I needed to en route to break 2:20, but at the same time to run like an absolute monkey and still walk away with, a pretty respectable time. Good signs in that. Come Sunday, I promise you I will race a whole lot smarter. And then the third thing I'm going to touch base on is my biggest session in the block, my 3x10K session. So heading into that block, I wanted to average 3:26s for the first set, which I did. The next one, I wanted to average 3:23s for the middle set, which I did once again. And then the last one, I wanted to average around marathon pace, maybe a second a K faster, so around 3:18s, which I did not do. I averaged 3:24s for that third set. And you know what? I think once again, pros and cons to take in that. One is that I did a whole heap of training at just below marathon pace, but around marathon effort. So 30Ks worth of volume, banked, really good session. But at the same time, I think in that last set, I probably could have squeezed a few more seconds out, but I made a decision in this block, different to what I've done in other blocks, from the point of view that I'm going to not chase those times, those splits. I'm going to run within myself. So I think in previous blocks, I've absolutely emptied the tank to hit those splits. And I think I probably could have done that, but I decided to, let's keep this session productive. I don't want to delay the recovery even further, and we save the fireworks for race day. So 5K time ticked, half marathon, not really, half tick, 3x10K, bigger session of the block, a little bit short. It's going to be a tight one. Okay, now on to some really positive news. So before a full send, I always go for a pre-race DEXA scan. I highly recommend it yourself. What DEXA scans do is they just give you your body composition. So I like to see what my body's made up of heading into a key race, so I can look back at my best performances and say, this is what my body looked like. So, key facts I look at is overall weight, body fat percentage, muscle mass, that sort of stuff. My T-score is very good, so long may that continue, especially when it comes to marathon running. You want strong bones. And I get the results up on screen. Before I talk about this anymore, I just want to reiterate the point that stronger means faster, okay? If I go and lose weight and get to 4% body fat, but my goal is to have lost weight and I haven't put in the training, I definitely will not be as strong and perform as previous blocks. So You know, I am leaner than I have ever been in my life at the moment. Where that's going to play in my favor, I don't know. Let's see on Sunday. But I felt that within the Berlin block, my last performance going into that race, my body fat percentage was 10.6. And you know, I'm a bigger boy. I've always been a bigger boy. My current weight is 74. Then it was 75.5. So I think the people I compete against sort of within the 220 range, I'm a lot bigger. And I think that's because I haven't come from a running background. I've always been a gymmer, and I used to, you know, eat fast foods and smash beers and live the normal life, let's say. So I feel like my body's still adapting from those days. Now, in Berlin, like I said, my body fat percentage was 10.6. And when the margins are so tight at 220, I think that was probably a little bit on the higher end. So what that means is I've been super disciplined, a lot more disciplined than normal, you know, just, you know, eating clean. Obviously, of course, I've had cheat meals, but just slightly less. And, you know, I've really had to dial in that focus because we need to find those extra few minutes and seconds. So heading into this race, the lowest body fat percentage I've ever been at 8.1. And the positives to this is that in all my DEXA scans in the last 4 or 5 years, I'm actually the highest muscle mass, highest muscle mass. So what that means is I've gained a lot of muscle, I've lost a lot of body fat, and I'm going into Manchester feeling strong, and the numbers suggest the same thing. Of course, marathons are not run on paper, and those are just indicators, but it does give you a little bit of confidence knowing that according to your DEXA scan and on paper, you're in the best shape of your life. Okay, now on to the pacing strategy, my race strategy for Manchester Marathon. So let me first touch base on my previous 5 attempts. So I've tried to break 225 times, and I haven't broken 220. Someone asked me the other day, how do you deal with failure if you haven't hit your numbers? And I promise you, the sun still comes up. Like, it sucks. Of course it sucks. I've come very close within 8-9 seconds. But at the same time, it's bringing out the absolute best in me. 220 is the journey. Someone asked me what happens, you know, if/when you do break 220, what next time? I can't even think that far. Let's just focus on the task at hand. Okay, so basically, once I touch base on my previous performances, it'll make sense why I'm going with this race strategy. So let's talk about my first attempt, London. That wasn't a proper attempt. You know what? I trained well. I backed myself. I thought I can break 220. I wasn't in 220 shape, not near. In fact, I didn't line up healthy. I was feeling a little bit sick. I was feeling good enough to race, but definitely not good enough to go absolutely all out. And that was a painful second half. Never in my life will I do that again. So London Marathon 2021, remember it was delayed due to COVID. I went through halfway in just under 70 minutes, feeling absolutely awful. There was a good pack. I fell off straight after halfway and I finished in, I think, 2:33 or 2:34. I just want to forget about that second half. Let's not talk about it. Then the next attempt was Rotterdam Marathon 2022. Felt really strong in the build up to that. Numbers signified that I did my half marathon PB a few weeks before, so I really was in good shape. I ran 2:20 and 59 seconds. I went through halfway in 68 something, struggled the second half. Is what it is, still walked away very happy. Then on to Berlin Marathon 2022. This is the closest I've got to breaking 220. Oh man, if I could go back, I would just somehow find those 9 seconds. But I went through halfway in just over 70 minutes, so I needed to negative split in order to break 220. I went through halfway in 70:16, and I did do a negative split. I ran 69:50 something, but it wasn't enough. I ran in 2:20 and 8 seconds, and that's the closest I've come, and that just lit a fire within inside of me that's just burning until we break it. Then next marathon after that was Seville. Because I'd come so close, I thought I need to go more aggressive this one, and I was super pumped up. I was training well, feeling in shape, and I went off super quick. I said, I'm going to run according to how I feel first half, and if I'm feeling good, I'm going to go for it. I went through halfway in 68 low, which would have given me a 2:16 marathon, really believing that I could, and then reality smacked me in the face with about 14 Ks to go, and I faded and I finished in 2:21, which is still amazing for me, but didn't quite perform to my ability that day. Then on to Berlin last year, going through halfway in under 70 minutes, really feeling quite strong. Not quite in the shape of my life, but with all this experience, I thought I can do this. I managed to pick it up. And at about 33 or 34 Ks, I was on track for a sub 219, so 218 something. And then the last 8 Ks, I did the maths in my head and I could lose something like 6 or 7 seconds a K, but I started losing 20, 30 seconds a K and finished in 2:22.12. Okay, so according to my last 5 all-out marathon attempts, the one I've done the best in is when I've done a negative split, and that's what we're going to be targeting for Manchester. So I think my ideal is going to go through halfway in between 70 and 15 seconds. Okay, I know in Manchester there's a bit of a bump at around the 27k mark, so within the last third of the race. So technically I don't know if it's a negative split course. However, I know that I've checked the wind and we have a little bit of a tailwind coming in, and I know for me to perform to the best of my ability, I think a negative split strategy will work best. So we're going to leave it out there, and if I can sniff it at the end, I promise you I'll find something to dip under. Okay, and then onto my pre-race fueling. So I touched base on this in my last 3x10k video, but let me just run through it very quickly. So the night before, I will have my go-to pre-race dinner. So it's normally a pasta with a bit of chicken, maybe some mushrooms, a bit of pesto sauce for a little bit of flavor, some extra salt, nothing spicy, nothing saucy. That's it. Good carbs, whole wheat pasta, get in the body. Then in the morning, probably about 2.5 hours before the race, I'll have my peanut butter on bagels. I'm staying at a hotel that has a breakfast, so I don't know if they'll have bagels, but if they have toast, that's just fine. They should definitely have peanut butter. In actual fact, I'm going to take my own peanut butter to be safe. And I'll probably have that, like I said, around 2 hours to 2.5 hours before. Peanut butter, honey, let's go. Then as far as once the race goes, I'm taking 3 gels, 3 Science Sport Beta Fuel gels. I've got 40 grams of carbs in. 1 at the start, 1 1/3 of the way in, 1 2/3 of the way in. 40, 80, 120 grams of carbs in my gels. And then I'm taking 2 Beta Fuel drink mixes. Thankfully, I've got an elite entry, so I can have my bottles a long course, but there's 80 grams of carbs in those each. So 160 in the drink mix, plus 120 in gels. That's 280 carbs throughout the marathon. Hopefully it's going to be just under 2 hours and 20 minutes of running. So that's over 100 grams of carbs an hour, which is more than sufficient enough for the full send I'm giving and my body type. But remember, I've trained my body and my gut to be able to handle that throughout the years. You're looking for around 60 to 100 grams of carbs. In addition to that, I'll be putting shots of ketone in my drink mix. So I'll probably take about 3 shots of ketone. What the ketone does for me is it's just brain fuel and physical fuel as well, keeps me sharp. Okay, now onto a couple of questions I received on my Strava. So the first one actually isn't a question, it's just interested to see how you do in a 6-week marathon block. So I thought I'd touch base on this. I'm interested myself. In the past, I've done an 8-week block. Obviously, Kipchoge does a 16-week specific block. Why I chose a shorter block, one is because I really wanted to get that 5K speed time down. But number 2, I'd actually done a whole lot of good training before this block. So even though it was 6 weeks specific marathon training, I was coming in with a really good base. All details on my Strava. I was probably averaging between 120 to 150 Ks before the block, and within the block, probably somewhere around 150 to 170 Ks. Okay, next question. My racing shoe. So I'm going to be racing the Adidas Pro 3. Here you can see it over here. I raced Cambridge half in this. I've done one other very short distance race. So they've got about 30 Ks in them. Still feeling fresh. Come on, be good to me. What a shoe this is. And this is actually my 5K racing shoe, my 10K racing shoe, my marathon, and most likely ultra marathon racing shoe if I do that as well. Okay, then on to the next question. Am I going to be vlogging this race? Of course, yes, but do you know what? The margins are so tight that I'm not going to be vlogging it myself. Thankfully, I've got Mike that's going to be having my camera en route, and a few mates. If you're watching this video and you're going to be supporting Manchester or know of anyone that is, please can you record landscape, and I'll send you a link to upload to my drive once I make the race video. But if it wasn't an absolute goal race of mine, I would usually wear this Insta 360 Go 3 cam, the back of the Strava cap, put it on here and click record. However, I'm not doing that on this occasion. I really need fully focus, and I know that's what you would want me to do as well. And I feel like when I'm recording, I'm sort of in the mindset of what am I going to say at this part? What am I going to do here? Whereas if I don't have that recording, my mind is fully set, eyes on the prize. Okay, next question is, how do you mentally prepare for an absolute full send? So that's why I'm sitting here talking and I'm pretty nervous, because I know just how much these full marathon sends take out of you. They are not easy, far from it. It takes a special type of person to run a marathon. So if you have done one, be kind to yourself. But the way I mentally prepare is firstly within big sessions, trying to get in that zone. Secondly, my reasons for running are pretty personal to me, but those reasons really come out in that last 10Ks. And that's what drives me. That's where that part that counts, and what I really, when you have to run with your mind and physically you're almost depleted, that you got to think of those moments that matter most to you, what drives you, and that's what gets you through. Okay, next question. Pre-race jitters, or as I call it, paranoia. How do you deal with it? There's so many good marathons coming up, you know, Manchester, Rotterdam, London, the list goes on. But at the same time, there's a lot of paranoia in the air, and it's completely normal. Every niggle is going to feel like a big injury. Every slight cough, you're going to think you're sick. Your mind plays tricks on you. But, you know, like I said in the beginning of this video, you need to embrace these things. It's cool. We choose to run, and it's cool. It's not going to be around forever. So all these pre-race jitters and stuff, embrace it. It's all part of the process. It happens to all of us, no matter how many races we've done. My throat's feeling okay now. Tomorrow I'll wake up and it'll probably play tricks with me. But no, come Sunday, we'll be ready. Okay, next question. Am I going to run for the sub 220, or am I going to get swallowed up in the race like I did at Cambridge? A little bit harsh, but that's the truth. So do you know what? Let me just put things into perspective quickly. So when I was a 250 marathoner, or a 240 or a 230, I could run according to time. There's big groups around there. As soon as you start getting sort of below 225 and around 220, you know, the competition in you really comes out from the point of view that's you got to sort of adjust to race day conditions, groups and stuff like that. So conditions are looking pretty good at Manchester. However, it is a bit windy. And as we know, when the margins are so tight, wind can affect things. So that brings me to my next point. I'm going to be running for the sub 220. I want to be super competitive. Ultimately, I want to just be the best me I can be. But having said that, I am a very competitive person, and if there's people in and around me, we should hopefully bring out the best in each other, especially in that last bit. You almost want people around you. So I've heard that there's a few people targeting for 220. I really hope that's the case, and I really hope we have a good group that runs smart from early on. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to run silly on Sunday. I definitely won't be going through halfway in anything faster than 69:30. Hopefully, like I said, around 70 in 20 seconds. That's a sweet spot for me. However, if there's a group within about 10 seconds in front of me, then what I'll do is I'll get in the group. We share the work. It's a whole lot easier. Once again, if there's a group just behind me, I'll probably go in that group. I don't want to run too much of the race solo, but I know in races like this, especially in the second half, no matter what, I am going to run a big portion of it solo. So ultimately, I'm running for the sub 220 to be the best me that I can be, but I'm going to use people and groups around me to bring out the absolute best in me too. Okay, and finally from me, I just want to say thank you so much to the support. I say it every time, but every marathon build, I just get more and more support. Ultimately, you know, I want to break 220 for you guys and for everyone, but I really want to do it for myself. So thank you so much for supporting this journey. Like I said, if it's not 220, it's not the end. And even if it is 220, it's not the end. And if it's not 220, it's okay. The sun will come out, you know, beautiful family. Today's my 1-year-old daughter's birthday. So, you know, life couldn't be better. But at the same time, I'm going to dial it in so much that come that start line, you know, I'm fully focused at the task at hand, and 220 in that moment means the absolute world to me. So onwards and upwards. I'm going to finish off this vlog by showing you my post-Berlin marathon thoughts when I ran 2:20 and 8 seconds. I've watched it back once. I actually find it too hard to watch for myself. But hopefully I can give you, you know, a bit of perspective of just how hard I work for this and how much it means to me. And together we grow. Marathons are tough. Let's go get them. Appreciate the support. Next video you see from me will be the race video. Let's go. Oh, guys. Oh, smiling and crying. That's marathon running for you. 10,000 Ks. At over 10,000 Ks, over 2 years of dreaming of breaking 220. And it got ripped from my heart in that final stretch when the clock just beat over. You know what? I had the run of my life. I felt comfortable for so much of the race. It was different to Rotterdam. It was different to Cheshire. It was different to London. It was different to all my last 4 marathons. I only really started feeling the pain the last 2-3 Ks, which is exactly what marathons should be about. I was overtaking so many people in that last third. You know what? I'll break the race down properly, but I felt like I just needed one person to go with me. I was solo from 17, and yeah, I just felt it in my bones. I knew it was going to be the day. It was going to be the day until it wasn't. But at the same time, I ran 51 seconds faster than I've ever run before. We've got 9 more seconds to find. 9, come on. Is that too much to ask? Oh, the support was insane. So many people were shouting for me. So many people have come up afterwards, like I just felt over every timing mat, like I just felt the support. And guys, I'm sorry, I did my absolute best. If I stopped to tie my shoelace, or if I did something that I lost time, I would be more upset. But you know what, there's nothing else I could have done. I had the race of my life, gave it my absolute all. The one time I knew that I wasn't going to do it was when I went under Brandenburg Gate. I knew I needed to go under in 2:18.45. It's about 400 meters left. I went under in 2:19.00. So did the last 468 seconds, put in a big shift, but there was no ways I could go sub 60 for the last 400. Anyways, I'm gonna have a massive beer, take a bit of time to myself, guys. We come back stronger. Come on!